In today's video, I want to talk about solving quadratic equations using square roots. And I want to start off with an example. Let's start off with a basic example. N squared equals 9. So what number squared is equal to 9? Well, a lot of people, myself included, honestly, the first thing I jump to is, well, if I take the square root of this side and the square root of that side, the square root of 9 is 3, so n equals 3. Which is true, n does equal 3. But remember, with so many of our quadratic equations, we haven't just had one answer. We've had two. So what else, if I multiply it by itself, will equal positive 9? Right? N squared equals 9. Well, positive 3, yes, but what about negative 3 squared? Negative 3 squared is negative 3 times negative 3. And remember, a negative times a negative is a positive. So not only does n equal 3, n also equals negative 3. Okay, and a lot of times when you're solving these types of problems, you need to be on the lookout for n being both the positive and the negative of whatever number you're looking for. Okay, so that's the first example. Let's look at another example that you might see in, I guess I can use x. I don't know why I used n, but sure, x squared minus 144 equals 0. Okay, now there's two ways to think about this. And in the past, we've talked about factoring perfect squares, right? So your two options are either one, you can factor. Oops, the lights are trying to save energy. Okay, you can factor, or you can take the square root. Okay, those are your two options. So if you decide you want to factor, you can think about it like this, right? This is as if we had x squared plus 0x, right? Because there's no middle term, minus 144 equals 0. So I'd need two numbers that multiply to negative 144 and add to 0. And, well, those two numbers just happen to be positive 12 and negative 12. So positive 12, negative 12, that would leave me with x plus 12 and x minus 12 equal to 0. Remember the zero product property, if either one of these is 0, then the whole equation is 0. So then x would be either negative 12 or positive 12. Okay, so that's one way you can think about it, is by factoring. Now the other way is by taking the square root. So we have x squared minus 144 equals 0. Let's add, let's add 144 to both sides. Okay, then I'm left with x squared equals 144. The square root of 144 is x equals 12. And remember, it's positive 12, but it also could be negative 12, as we found over here. And look, these are the same. So that's another way that you could think about solving equations like this. Let's do one more, and then we'll call it a day. Um, 9x squared equals 16. Ooh, sure, that's fine. 9x squared equals 16. So again, there's two ways that you can do this, there's basically, you can, so one would be to take this square root first, or, and then divide. Or the second option, divide, and then take the square root. Okay, that's your other option. So let's try this one first. Take the square root and then divide. So we have 9x squared equals 16. The square root of both sides gives me, and here's where we have to be really careful, it gives me two equations. 3x, right, because that's the square root of 9x squared. Square root of 9 is 3, square root of x squared is x, equals, it equals positive 4, but 3x also equals negative 4, right? Because of that whole, when you take the square root, it could be the positive or it could be the negative. Okay, so then here we divide by 3, then we divide and get x equals 4 over 3. Here we divide by 3 and get x equals negative 4 over 3, right? So that's your answer. Oops. Sure. Worked out. Okay, so that's one way. Let's see what happens if we divide and then take the square root. So we have 9x squared equals 16. Divide first. Oops, divide first. X squared equals, I don't know why I divided by 16. We got to divide by 9 on for both sides. Okay? So then x squared equals 16 over 9. Take the square root of both sides. So x equals, right, the positive square root of 16 over 9 or the negative square root of 16 over 9. Now, square root of 16 over 9, that's equal to the square root of 16 divided by the square root of 9. Square root of 16 is 4, square root of 9 is 3, so x equals 4 over 3 and negative 4 over 3. Again, the same as what we had over here. So both of those are fine ways that you could solve this problem. I hope that that helps you conceptualize how you can solve quadratics by taking the square root. See you in the next video.